look at Predicted or other places. Don't leave our video. I've got a funny joke for y'all. But somebody told a joke. If you watch the hearing, the whole thing, the big lies that came out of Deborah Katz, who was her attorney and everything. She said, well, she's scared of flying. She's scared of flying. One thing that prosecutor from Arizona did kind of right was basically shoot holes because this woman was like flying all over the country,
everywhere.
on vacations everywhere. But somebody commented on one of these chat rooms that I'm in here, guys, and said she's going to have a long drive back to California. And then they said maybe Ted Kennedy can offer a ride back. Right? Ted Kennedy killed a woman and they never said anything about it, so that was the joke there. Thought it was pretty funny.
Ouch. Maybe I heard the same thing. Nick Johnson comments and says, I found it interesting that she said in the beginning of her testimony that, quote, that she didn't know Brett Kavanaugh well, but that they knew who each other were. And later, when asked how she knew Brett, she said that they had gone out with each other. Not like dated, but that they had gone out together. And I'd heard the same thing. I think that says something right there.
Full of lies, man. It was a lying con job, the whole dang thing.
Well, again, don't forget. I think don't forget. I mean, all four people that Dr. Ford cited in her statement said they were not there. There was no party. They recanted, or they retracted, or they blocked everything that Ford said. And of course, we haven't even discussed the biggest line of BS in this whole thing, which is that Feinstein sat on this whole thing for over a month. And so, as you guys heard, I'm sure, and anybody's watching, as you guys heard, I mean, every Democrat questioning Kavanaugh asked him, well, don't you support an independent investigation from the FBI? And Grassley, I'll give him credit where it's due, he kept saying, we would have had this entire thing done 40 days ago. I think it was 45 days ago. Yeah. If the ranking member, which of course is Feinstein sitting right next to him, if Feinstein hadn't sat on this and withheld this from the American people. So the witnesses said it did not happen. Feinstein sat on the thing only to score political points now. And the whole thing is a joke, not to mention the fact that he produced a letter, I think it was today or yesterday in advance of the hearing, 65 members of his high school class, 65 women from his high school class that compiled a letter in one day. He said they compiled it in one day.
That's impressive.
And they said that he was nothing but a gentleman in high school, never sexually assaulted anybody. I mean, I thought it was great. The guy was honest as the day is long. He said, I like beer, Senator. Yeah. I like beer.
That resonated with a few 63 million different Americans.
And I liked it in high school. And I drank it in high school.
Exactly.
And,
hey, guys,
sometimes I had a few too many, but there was never a time when I lost control and sexually assaulted anybody.
I think this. Go ahead, Chris.
I'm going to break in here for a second. For those of you who are trying to check us out on YouTube just a few minutes ago, I forgot to hit the broadcast link on that on time, so we will have a high-definition video of that uploaded to there later. But we are now broadcasting live on YouTube as well, so if you want to see the high-definition, better audio version, click on the link in the comment section here. We're going live over there right now. And shout out to all of you Ohioans. We are trouncing the living heck out of all the rest of the country right now. What? As far as people. Yeah, oh, definitely. And so if you're from Ohio, thank you so much.
Georgia, step up, Georgia.
Step up,
Georgia Gunners. If you're from Georgia and you're watching right now, freaking post in the comments where you're watching from and share this.
Yeah, let us know in the comments section. I'm fairly confident we Ohioans are blowing the tar out of those southern Georgia boys. So. Like we're going to do in football.
One thing I was going to say about Kavanaugh, it reminds me a lot of an uncle I have. Okay, grew up in the 80s or whatever this is, guys. They were having fun. He's a wealthy guy in a wealthy community. Top of his class, football player, got accepted to Yale and Yale Law School. Like I'm saying, it reminds me of my uncles. There was no social media. There was none of this stuff. But it was just people were having fun. But to go from that to say, he raped me with no evidence. I thought the funny thing was, and this was totally scripted. She was a totally fake liar. She said, they were like, were you drinking? I had one beer, but she didn't know how she got there. She didn't know how she got home.
She didn't even know what week it was.
She didn't know what day it was, what week it was, what month it was. It was a total con job. But guys, this is how ruthless the left is. And if we don't stiffen our spines and if we don't get out to the polls, and I'm not telling you who to vote for, because a lot of these Republicans jack up a lot of times, guys. But if you don't have your fighting gloves on right now, if you're not talking to your family and friends, if you're not sharing this stuff around, there's a lot on the line in November, guys. I mean, I'm just saying, but these people are absolutely ruthless. But Kavanaugh's appearance, I think, resonated with a lot of people who are very highly likely to vote in the November election. I think the Dems played it wrong. Of course, things could change here, but he came off to me as pissed off. His family and life is destroyed. And look, I know we're talking a lot about him, but I mean, he ruled on a lot of Second Amendment cases. I mean, it's just a reality. He wasn't my first choice, but he had some good rulings on some Second Amendment cases. And
well, that's been the whole source of Feinstein's animus, all these guys. I mean, his ruling on the challenge to the DC handgun ban is that was the first thing she asked him about. The first question 2 weeks ago was why he opposed and why he did not side with the majority in the DC case on the DC handgun ban.
Bingo.
And of course, we all remember her whole sliding scale standard about how the AR-15s are not in common use just because 20 million of them are in circulation. Well, they're not in common use because you don't carry them every day on your back. So guns became like the number one issue that Senate Democrats and Dianne Feinstein led with. So certainly their anger is very key towards his view on guns in particular. So amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it just, we've talked a bunch about the organization of the left, and that just can't be stressed enough, I think, too often in our gun rights communities. We're pretty scattered sometimes. That's what our organizations exist to do, is bring this pressure, bring all the gun owners together in these states to pour pressure on leftists, to pour pressure on our state capitals, because the left, very well funded, very well mobilized. They have a game plan. It's never one man alone, going against conservatives or going against the president. It's always a collection of people, with a game plan, working this stuff out. We're seeing this right now with Kavanaugh. And so get involved in these organizations, fight at the state level, and push back against this stuff, because, hiding out in the trees ain't going to get you very far, and we're going to lose our freedoms that way.
Yeah, I have. It's a great point, Ben. I mean, I have a little bit of breaking news. I'm kind of this Twitter guy. You see a lot of political news on there, guys. But my understanding is that right now on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., so the Republicans are about to meet. This is breaking news, guys. Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Jeff Flaky Flake, and Joe Manchin from West Virginia are all meeting now.
Just those four?
Guys. Just those four. So, but I happen to think Donnelly in Indiana, Heitkamp in North Dakota. Missouri, I know, is watching now. She's not going to vote. But, guys, you got to make this hurt. You got to make this hurt, in November. You got to make it hurt out there in Missouri. But if you happen to be in one of these states, people from all over the country watching right now, and it's kind of a growing thing we got going on here. It's kind of exciting. But get up on the horn, okay? Put pressure on your politicians. But that stuff is happening right now as we speak on Capitol Hill in DC, guys. I mean, this
of course,
is kind of a big deal.
You mentioned Twitter. I'm not exactly the biggest twit on this, but I did see what Trump
tweeter,
because you sent it to me, Patrick. That's why I saw it.
Okay.
But he said, Judge Kavanaugh showed America exactly why I nominated him. His testimony was powerful, honest, and riveting. That's the damn truth. Democrats' search and destroy strategy is disgraceful. This process has been a total sham in an effort to delay, obstruct, and resist. The Senate must vote. So that is the conclusion from President Trump. Obviously, he had a lot riding on today. I think that if Kavanaugh had come out there and collapsed, I think that maybe wouldn't have seen that kind of a response. But Kavanaugh came out there and gave a performance for the ages. I mean, for the ages. They were showing videos. I was watching a video last week of the Clarence Thomas rebuttal, his opening statement rebutting Anita Hill. And he did a good job. He called it a high-tech lynching of a black man. He did a good job, but, times have changed, and I think the dialogue has changed. And Kavanaugh wailed it out of the park and did a great job. And Trump, obviously, very pleased with his nominee tonight, as he should be.
Yeah, exactly. Chris, do you have any breaking news out of Ohio, or do you not really want to say that? Does it really matter?
What break? What?
Well, Rob Portman, I know he's not your favorite senator. He's no friend of gun
Yeah,
owners.
Portman is in line on this. I think he's going to vote yes on this. He's not been vocalized. He's not been siding with Jeff Flake, so I'm happy about that. But obviously, Sherrod Brown is a definite no vote on this one. So
at least Portman just put out a statement, said he's going to support the confirmation.
Yeah, at least on this one time, Portman's in the right corner.
There's a whole lot
this.
of people who are right this one time, and let's not make any bones about it. Lindsey Graham has been a son of a gun to gun owners. I remember I stood there at the Marriott right in West Des Moines, Iowa, like 3 miles from where I'm sitting right now, when he came out as a candidate for the GOP nomination in 2015. And we went 10 rounds about his votes on gun rights.
I was there. I was there.
I talked to him. We went around and around and around because the dude sucks when it comes to guns. His record has been abysmal.
Yeah.
And but today he hit it out of the park. And frankly, Chuck Grassley has oftentimes tried to make deals with Dianne Feinstein, especially in the area that they call trafficking on guns. But today he stepped up as well. So a lot of these guys today, earned their per diems. We'll give them that. For today, they earned it. They earned it. But the biggest issue here has remained due process. And there's been none of it here. There's been none of it. Again, these are allegations that are lacking a date, lacking any witnesses, and any ability to corroborate anything. So it's impossible for Kavanaugh to make a detailed, point by point rebuttal of a thing that has no facts to latch onto and begin to rebut. He did a dang good job with his calendar, by the way. What a guy.
Wow.
What a guy. He said he was almost in tears. He said that my dad started keeping a calendar-based diary / journal.
1978 or 73 or something like that.
He got turned on to doing that from his dad, and he still does to this day. And I bet Kamala Harris and those guys did not count this guy having calendars from where he had been every day in that year of his life. But the due process issue
that's what Ted Cruz said. He's like, man, you were a far better student than
you were more organized
than I ever was.
Man, how about Cory Booker and Kamala Harris just totally bombed today. Totally bombed. I know a lot of our states on here are early presidential primary states, Iowa, or at least important, Ohio and Minnesota and others, but totally bombed. And I was glad to see that, because they're like the farm team for President Trump in 2020, and I was glad to see them bomb. So go ahead, Aaron. You got a next topic?
Well, I was gonna jump in right there, but the breaking news out of Ohio today wasn't Rob Portman. It was the guy is doing everything he can to try to plot his run against President Trump, and that is John Kasich, our governor. He's the first guy from Ohio to jump in there today and say, we need to stop. We need to pull off this nomination here. Yeah. And, with that whole idea of due process that Aaron was just talking about, they are not going to be bothered by due process. That's what they're rolling right into. John Kasich held a news conference again on Monday, and signed an executive order expanding the federal gun owner database, but then he rolled right into how we need to pass these due process killing red flags laws. And that kind of goes in tune with this whole lack of due process thing. That's what they're coming for all across America. And they're united in this.
I'm telling you.
I think as a reminder, or someone just, I guess, to go kind of as a recap of what red flags are, in case you're not aware of what we're talking about here. Red flags is pretty simple. It's the idea that somebody, whether it's Dr. Blasey Ford or somebody else, can make an accusation against you. And in some cases, in the Iowa draft of this bill, they can literally phone in the accusation that you're a threat to yourself or somebody else. And they can urge then a judge to issue a gun seizure order. You've been red flagged, see, a red flag gun seizure order, and they will come to your door and kick it in if you're not going to let them in, and seize every firearm in your house. And what's amazing about it, besides that, is that these take place via ex parte hearings. So what that means, of course, is that you're not even there. not just not there, you don't even know what's going on. The first time you're going to be aware of this is when you get that knock on your door or a battering ram on your door, and they come, because in some states it's going to be a ram. Make no mistake. In some states it's going to be a ram, and they're going to come in your house and confiscate every gun that you have. And last but not least is the type of things that can be used against you as evidence. We discussed this in a previous podcast, but the Wisconsin version, I think Ben said, the New York version, the Ohio version originally, the Iowa version, the Missouri version, all of them said the recent acquisition of a firearm constitutes evidence that can be used against you in these hearings, again, that you're not even present in. And
still says it. Still says it right here in Ohio's.
Okay,
well,
still does.
And not just firearms. The Wisconsin bill says evidence that the respondent has recently acquired firearms, ammunition, or other dangerous weapons. So if you went and bought yourself a
brick of 22
shells to go plink out at the farm or something,
heinous.
That's evidence.
Unless you've been asleep, and you think that the Republicans are going to come in and save us, like they didn't save them in Florida or New Hampshire or Vermont.
Indiana.
Just yesterday, the Republican majority in Pennsylvania crammed this down Pennsylvania gun owners' throats, and the NRA wasn't there. They didn't oppose it. There's no real big in-state gun rights organizations. The ones that were there were trying to, but literally the Republicans are the ones who rammed this through their House. It now goes over to the Senate. But guys, this is what they're coming to do here in your state.
They're trying it in Wisconsin. They're trying it in Missouri. They're trying it in
Iowa.
They're trying it in Ohio. They're trying it in Georgia. They're talking about doing it in Wyoming. I mean, this is not just blue states, folks. Indiana passed this a couple of years ago. Not exactly blue territory. Obviously, Florida this year, the gunshine state. What an embarrassment now. The gunshine state passed this with Republican control. And you mentioned the NRA, Chris. I think it's more than just they're not opposing this. You guys can Google it. Chris Cox, head of ILA, very publicly supporting this bill. Just to be very, very, very clear, we don't want crazy people carrying guns. That's why we carry guns, to shoot people like that who try to shoot us and our families. That's kind of a given.
True story.
The point here is that there's already a process to take guns away from people who are criminally insane. It's very clear, very, very clear. What this is going to do, what it's doing right now, is when you lose your guns, it's before you've been convicted of anything.
Sounds like Kavanaugh.
Exactly, like Kavanaugh. You haven't even been indicted. You haven't even been arrested. This is the process traditionally to get your rights taken away, to be named a felon, an arrest, an indictment, and a conviction. These processes guarantee a modicum of due process, and it's all stripped away. And what was you know what the vote count was, Chris? If you don't know, that's fine. But
I think it was 130 some to 62. So
Dude,
I mean, it's just out of control. Yeah, almost 2-1. They have the second largest state legislature in America, and that means the largest amount of Republicans probably in any state in America other than New Hampshire.
Well,
go ahead, Ben.
And this is the part that just drives me up the wall, because I know it's part of our next talking point here, but these Republicans always think that passing gun control is going to buy them goodwill with anti-gunners at election time.
Oh.
I have been watching Florida's governor, Rick Scott, get torn apart by the anti-gun left. This is a guy who passed 4 different gun control bills, or a bill with 4 massive. He raised the age to buy firearms. He got rid of high capacity, standard capacity magazines. Red flags. These are the things he passed down in Florida, and he's being torn apart by the anti-gun left. They're not giving him an ounce. I saw a post on Facebook from Survivor's Lead just the other day, and it said, it was tearing into Rick Scott. This guy has never done anything to curb gun violence. He has never done anything to stand up against the gun lobby. And they just ripped into him for being a pro-gun SOB, when in reality he's an anti-gun SOB who passed all these gun control laws hoping to get some political cover. And instead, what did he do? All he did was disenfranchise his pro-gun base, and the left is still going to go out and vote against him. So clearly, Pennsylvania just made the same stupid mistake.
Yep.
And this is a mistake that gun owners fortunately forced our stupid legislature here in Minnesota not to make last session by stopping these bills dead in their tracks. But right now, Congressman Eric Paulson from Minnesota here is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Tell them about Eric Paulson, because
Eric,
so this is the guy who what bill did he sponsor, Ben?
He sponsored the red flags bill in Congress.
Okay. And guess who is on Bloomberg's list of targeted districts to take out in the 2018 midterms? I'm talking, they just unleashed an $83 million purchase to try to take him out. And Eric Paulson, the Republican sponsor of red flags at the federal level, is number 6 on Bloomberg's list. So he's not getting any benefit.
Top of the list. Yeah, and he was also the very first Republican to hop on the bump stock ban.
Yeah,
when the floodgates got open last February, he was the first Republican to come out with a great big press conference, big fanfare about how we need to curb this gun violence and how we need to enact common sense laws. All he did was piss off the Republicans in his district, and the left is still coming after him. They're still doing their level best to kick him out of office. So Republicans, lawmakers.
And so not only is the left coming after them, but Republicans are just falling off in droves, and that's beginning to be seen in the polling, not just in Florida, not just in Minnesota, but from what I understand.
Can we please talk about Iowa? Can we please discuss
Yeah, let's do it.
I've been waiting. Before I do that, though, Brian Aldridge is asking for some information on the YouTube channel. Wants to know where all the conversation is. Brian, you are correct. The way tonight's podcast is streaming, all of the Facebook pages are being run individually. And so all the comments and questions are on the individual pages. We have some technology we're exploring with that will consolidate this and put all of the comments, all of the questions, all of everything on one forum, one format. That did not quite get set up in time for tonight, but that's the answer to your question.
We're gonna get this stuff figured out, folks. Just give us a little bit of time.
And you are not the only guy watching in Missouri, buddy. And again, make sure you see our awesome ad that we rolled out just yesterday.
I like that ad
or I guess it was last week on Clara McCaskill. But anyway, no, I think on the next topic, and one that gives me some measure of. Well, I'll just discuss the numbers. How about that? We have all of these Republican governors and lawmakers who have screwed us over the last year.
Lots of them.
You got Mary Fallon, governor of Oklahoma, pro-gun Governor Fallon, vetoed constitutional carry. You got Governor Dugard in nearby South Dakota last year, vetoed constitutional carry.
Loser.
And made sure the override vote died by a couple votes. This year, in Iowa, the day after the Parkland, Florida shooting, we had a committee vote scheduled on constitutional carry. We had a major operation underway, 18 co-sponsors, tons of momentum, and our very new governor, Kim Reynolds, who inherited a year and a half or so worth of her seat from Governor Branstad, who's now Trump's ambassador to China. Kim Reynolds came out on a press conference and shivved us in the neck, saying that she supported Iowa's gun laws as they were. Very blatant speak for kill the bill. Kill the bill. And these people, like I think as Ben or Chris mentioned a while back, they're hoping to get love from their enemies by doing this. But Kim is hoping that somehow she's going to be seen as reasonable by the hard left here in Iowa, by the Des Moines Register, by KCCI, by the Gazette, and all these places, hoping to get, I guess, an endorsement from these people, which she's never going to get. And they come out there and she said, number one, we're going to kill constitutional carry. Number two, wants expanded background checks. So that's obviously blatant speak for universal background checks, Bloomberg style stuff. And our bill died in large portion to what Kim Reynolds said. And before I give the numbers, the same thing happened last year to our sister organization in Wisconsin. in Wisconsin. The bill number there, I've got it right here. I think this number, Senate Bill 169, 44 co-sponsors between the Assembly and the Senate got past the committee. We were rolling. And Scott Walker, who is like somehow just revered for being a some kind of a conservative powerhouse in the media, said the same thing. I support Wisconsin's gun laws as they are. And that's, again, blatant speak for I dang sure did not want to have constitutional carry put on my desk. And in Walker's case, he is an embarrassment, frankly, to gun owners. I mean, it was one of the last states in America to pass shall issue. They finally, waiting periods. What's that?
In legislative politics, when a governor says something like that, phrased like that, and says that to the legislature through the media, he's giving them a direct order, essentially saying, you kill that, or you've got a problem with me. And that's the same thing we deal with here in Ohio. I'm sure that Patrick's been dealing with that with old Nathan Deal down there in Georgia. And that's the way this works. So this guy is directly responsible for killing people's opportunity to carry without begging government permission.
Oh, exactly.
Guys, I want to stay on the topic, Aaron, just real quick. There is breaking news out of D.C., the breaking news on the Kavanaugh thing. Republicans have now scheduled a vote in the committee hearing tomorrow morning. And then there is a procedural vote on Kavanaugh if he makes it out of the committee.
Cloture vote?
No, it's the first. I'm not sure 100%. You may be right. At 12 p.m. on Saturday. So that's the breaking news out of Washington, D.C. on Kavanaugh.
Nice.
So it sounds like they're pretty confident, but, who knows? The betting markets are showing him at 65% chance of passing. So,
I should have put a lot of money down at 10 a.m. this morning.
Yeah,
guys.
Yeah, when she was at 68%.
See, this is this whole idea that's, I think, finally becoming a little bit more mainstream. It's always been my ideology when it comes to gun politics, but it's kill or be killed.
Yes.
And the left, when they got the votes, they come after our throats. They cram gun control down our throats, and they don't apologize for it. They revel in it. They mobilize every step of the way. We need to do that, and that's what's happening right now, finally, with President Trump. It's kill or be killed, attack, attack, attack. And so when I see stuff like this, I'm like, yeah, finally. We're doing something on our side. And for those of you in Ohio who are watching right now, that is our motto here. It's kill or be killed. So just so you know.
Yes, I like that. I like it a lot.
So getting back to these poll numbers and the lack of this attitude amongst the GOP, again, the left, like you said, Chris, they always feed their base. They always feed their base. And I don't know about you guys, but when it comes to Republican lawmakers and Republican governors, passing a gun bill is the definition of feeding your base. And so we mentioned this in Scott Walker's case and in Kim Reynolds' case, that they stabbed their base in the neck on constitutional carry. Kim this year, Scott Walker last year. And now as we're we have 50 days, less than 50 days from general election. Now polling coming out in Iowa, the Iowa poll, which has always been considered the gold standard here in Iowa, when most of the polls said that Trump had no chance. The Iowa poll polled Iowa correctly and said he's going to win it by 7 points. He won by 10. I'm sure he would definitely point out the clarification, 3 more points.
Fantastic.
Iowa poll came out and said she is down, and no one thought this was even possible. She's down by 2 right now in Iowa. The Emerson College poll came out, Emerson University poll came out, showed her down by 5. The Real Clear Politics average weighted poll shows her down by, I think, 3.7. And, Politico's in Iowa, so this could never happen. I mean, Trump carried Iowa. She has the legacy of Terry Branstad. She's going to take this all the way home. And she might, she might. But what we know is that she's stabbed us in the back. She won't sign the Iowa Gun Owners Candidate Survey. And right now, gun owners in Iowa are saying, you know what? You need us more than we need you. And we've worked hard to tell our members about that, because as long as we blindly follow these people, despite their betrayals, we're going to keep getting shivved in the ribs, and we would sooner drive the shiv into politicians, politically speaking.
For the humor impaired.
Don't get violent now.
Rather than receive that. I said politically speaking. Now, It's not just Kim Reynolds, though. We mentioned Scott Walker, who tanked constitutional carry. And let's not forget, this was a major push by his caucuses. The bill sponsor who had 44 co-sponsors. They had a huge press conference in the front steps of the Capitol. 20, 30 lawmakers out there. They had put capital behind this at our request, our sister organization's request. And Walker stabbed him in the back. Now, 4 polls in a row, all the recent polls in a row in Wisconsin, 4 in a row show Scott Walker down by over 4% on Tony Evers. Marquette University shows him down 5%. The PPP poll shows him down 5%. The Real Clear Politics weighted average is negative 4.7%. So, thank God. I think the story here is that, look, if you won't stand with us, we're not going to stand with you, man.
Yeah.
You won't fight for us. We're not going to fight for you. You know, gun owners in Iowa certainly fought like dogs to elect Terry Branstad over Chet Culver in 2010, and he won. You know, and certainly in Georgia, Patrick. I mean, you know, you had Creepy Casey who had stabbed you guys in the back how many times, and gun owners fought like dogs for Brian Kemp. Kemp. And,
I mean, yeah, no doubt, man. I mean, the other thing about that was that, and I've been telling my people down here in Georgia, the NRA is MIA. They endorsed Cagle, who was against constitutional carry. You know, we put a lot of heat on him. And then Georgia, here at Georgia Gunners, we've been spending tens of thousands of dollars to expose socialist Stacey Abrams, literally tens of thousands of dollars. The big behemoth NRA with $300 million a year, they haven't said anything. And I've been taunting them on my Facebook Live, and finally they come back in. Oh, we endorsed Brian Kemp 40 days out. It's like, what are you guys waiting on, guys? Stacey Abrams put out a poll the other day, says she's 6 points up. I don't believe it.
Isn't she literally going to these events with Bloomberg?
Who?
Stacey Abrams, yeah.
Yes, no doubt, man. I mean, they're spending, we can't get a good number on it, but it's in between $35 and $75 million she's getting from Bloomberg, Soros, Steyer, Phillips, and Sandler, all the Hollywood elite. This is their girl. Same guy down at Gillum down in Florida. But the point is that the left is fired up and the right has not been fed adequately the last 2 years. And
right.
They may be fed by President Trump, but here in Georgia or Florida, it's like Rick Scott screwed us. Nathan Deal wouldn't sign a gun bill, wouldn't sign constitutional carry. This is what you get. You know, you're on pins and needles. What's going to happen? Are we going to have a Democrat governor for 4 years? I don't know. We might.
What's going to happen in Minnesota, Ben? I'm curious.
I don't know. It's still looking tough. We got Jeff Johnson running against Tim Walz. Tim Walz stupidly enjoyed the endorsement from the NRA and from the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus here in Minnesota for years, always giving him the endorsement. We knew he was an anti-gun thug. Well, the moment he decided to run for state office instead of his congressional district, well, you know, he's all for assault weapons bans, so-called, universal gun registration, red flags. He's all for it, and that's igniting his base pretty well. But I think if Jeff Johnson can go full Donald Trump on this place, he might do really well as well. But you know, a lot of bad advice being passed around in this state. Republicans, they don't know what to do with themselves. And,
mental
you know,
lightweights.
Lightweights. So we're going to see. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to pull off a Republican win in November for governor up here.
Well, speaking of lightweights, that's what absolutely infuriates me to no end is the fact that, you know, certainly in Iowa, we had this limited window. For the first time since the late 90s, we had a GOP majority in the House, Senate, and the governor's mansion. This was our time to hammer through anything we wanted. And we wanted two things. We've been campaigning on two things. Gun owners have gutted dozens of anti-gun lawmakers here in Iowa over two things for all these years: stand your ground law and constitutional carry. And we got stand your ground law in 2017. We got close this year, and House leadership in Iowa killed it very publicly, very directly. And, you know, they always think, well, we'll do it later. These people are not guaranteed these majorities. And these people are they're not just loser politicians. These politicians, in many cases, like you said, they're mental lightweights. They don't even have the capacity to think in a tactical manner. And you don't play games when you have a majority like this and play nice. You don't play nice. I want Republican lawmakers to play like Cory Booker plays. I want Iowa's governor to play like Blumenthal plays.
Or
to
Kamala
win.
Harris. Kamala Harris. That'd be more appropriate. Woman.
Or fine, Kamala Harris. I mean, that's the problem. These guys, they play games. They try to appease the left. They try to appease the media. They want the whole state to love them. And if Trump taught us anything, it was activate your base and fight to the death and the hell with everybody else. And nobody on our side seems to understand that right now at the state level, at least.
So there I was at the Minnesota State Capitol in March.
Tell us
and
the
we
story,
had been,
man.
There's a Republican House member. His name's Keith Franke.
Oh.
Quisling. It's pretty sad. And we had been lighting him on fire because Keith Franke, he sponsored a bump stock ban for Minnesota, and he co-sponsored a whole host of other gun control. So he's one of these far left Republicans in Minnesota, and there are many. There are many, even ones you wouldn't think they are. And so we had been lighting him on fire. And so there I was at the Capitol, and I've never spoken 2 words to this guy. And he comes walking up on me, and he goes, "Hey, there's some bad news." I said, "Yeah, got that right, And I said, you sponsor some bad bills, my friend. And he just starts like, I gotta do stuff, to try to maintain, what I'm doing. He couldn't get 2 words out of his mouth. And I said, "This is all I want to tell you, Keith." I said, "Just don't ever forget this, and you can pass it on to the rest of your Republican colleagues because they're all about as bad as you."
Losers.
I said, "Gun owners go to war for those who go to war for them."
Preach it.
And he just stood there and he's kind of looked at me. And I said, and I repeated, I said, "Gun owners go to war for those who go to war for them. You try to placate the left and piss off your base will stay home and the left will vote you out. That's how this stuff works every single time."
Yep.
So that's my story.
That's a great
let that
story.
be a lesson to all of you Republicans, all these Republican lawmakers, people who watch this stuff. They're all doing this nationwide. They just did it right now in Pennsylvania. They're trying to do it in Ohio. They're trying to do it in Minnesota. They're doing it in all the states that we're talking about here tonight. And it's a recipe for total loss. So if you want to maintain your seat, if you want to maintain your seat of power in the state capitol, just do what you promised to do. Fight for gun owners, pass pro-gun bills, stop gun control, and fulfill your campaign promises, and you'll win. We got this. And you'll win.
We got this guy down here in Georgia. His name's Alan Powell. He's like the guy who was a Democrat for 20-something years.
Think like when I hear that name, I just think like Boss Hog. Am I wrong?
It's something like that, but
Dudley or Dudley
Corrupt.
Doolittle.
Yeah, Dudley Doolittle. For
Dudley
like
Doolittle.
20 years.
Dudley.
20 years, this guy was a Democrat, if not longer. And when the Republicans took control about 15 years ago, he didn't change till 2010. Anyways, he's the gatekeeper for all gun legislation down here in Georgia. I'm going to play the video for y'all sometime. One of my staffers called him up, and he said, "Georgia gun owners has been kicking my ass for 2 years now." It's exactly how he sounds. And he said that, and then in the same breath, exactly what you guys are talking about. In the same breath, he said, "If you push too far, there's going to be backlash." It's like, do you think the left ever says that there's going to be backlash? No, they go for the kill.
Just like Trump does.
Kill or be killed. Kill or be killed.
Somebody in politics. When somebody is laying on the floor, and what I mean by this is that when Republicans have super control of both houses and you have the governor's mansion, there is no time to wait, okay? You step on their throat, you ram it home, and you get it done. And this is the mentality that all of us as gun owners, now they're not going to do it unless you're beating the doors down at the Capitol in Atlanta or Minneapolis or wherever you are. But this is what we have to do collectively. You know, conservatives are not collectivists in nature, but when it comes to politics, we need to be.
Yeah.
Okay. Step on their throat, snap their necks, crack their skulls politically. I'm not talking about violence. Get it done, ram it through, and get it done.
But don't think for a minute that the left isn't talking about physical violence when it comes down to it. They will use physical violence tactics. I was talking.
They chased Cruz out of his restaurant just 2 nights ago. They had trapped his wife.
Yeah.
He almost had a throwdown in the restaurant just to get his wife out of the freaking out of the room.
And I was talking about this with the Ohio people who are watching tonight when I was doing a video on the Ohio Gun Owners Facebook page earlier today. But you know, back when the whole March for Our Lives bullcrap was going on, you know, we were out there kind of videoing the whole thing, and they were spitting on me as this thing was happening. Wow. I mean, you know, that's I mean, I'm not going to file suit against somebody for something like that, unless it's the right kind of person. But these people will absolutely find the when we talk about finding the gutter and getting underneath it. We do that because that's exactly where the left is willing to go and is going in their pursuit of destroying our freedom. So, yeah, we can't.
There's plenty of gutter speech today on the Senate Judiciary floor talking about all kinds of bizarre sexual questions to Brett Kavanaugh. So there's no gutter for those guys. We do have a question that people are asking about here on YouTube, Ben. They want to know if you are going to go see Trump in Rochester on Thursday. Will you be there?
I'm going to try. They were crashing the website the moment it was announced that the website's been down to get tickets. But I'm certainly going to try. I've wanted to see him for a long time, and this is probably the last time before November. So I was not able to make it up to Duluth when he went there, but I'm definitely going to try for Rochester. I'm only an hour away. I'm like 55 minutes away from Rochester. So
I thought that you lived in Iowa and you never set foot in Minnesota, and you never been in the state capitol, and no one knows your name.
Man, hey Chris, can you put me on full screen or not? I don't want to jack anything up, but I got a good picture. I think everybody's don't do it if you don't want to, but if you can see this, it's the witch Dianne Feinstein. Okay, you can go on the Georgia Gun Owners page. I'm sure all these guys here tonight are going to have it posted. That is the face that you make when you get absolutely ripped. And look, I say this with all sincerity, by limp-wristed Lindsey Graham. Okay, that is historically what he has been. And that is the face that you make when you get absolutely ripped. I mean, I'm just calling it like I see it, you know.
I love it.
And
it's a great
this
picture.
woman, I was complaining to these guys earlier. I said, you know, Chuck Grassley's from Iowa. That all these guys on here besides me know him very well. I've known him for probably 3 decades now. And his offspring as well, probably. I believe he has politicians in his blood. But this guy, was he 80-something years old? It seemed like he was getting circles run around him by an 85-year-old great-grandmother from San Francisco, okay? And I'll be honest with you, Aaron said it earlier, Lindsey Graham saved his butt.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he ripped it. He absolutely ripped it, you know, in that Kavanaugh hearing today. Just totally ripped it. And I hate to praise the guy because I've said a lot of bad things about him over the years, but when he does something good, I guess I'll say something good, you know.
It was all well earned. You don't have to feel bad for that, but hey, I'm thankful for these kinds of moments. You know, a lot of people have a lot of criticisms of Trump. They say he's a wild man. A lot of people like criticize his Twitter account in particular, his flaming use of it.
Foolish.
And I think it's just been the most marvelous foil for his enemies. One of my buddies texted me a little while ago, and he's like, you know, if Donald Trump is a modern day Samson, and you think of Samson from the Bible, then Twitter is his donkey jaw. And I love it. I love it. He slays his leftist enemies by the thousands, and it's working great. We need to model that in everything we do. In Ohio, folks, and all my Ohio friends who are watching tonight, thank you guys so much. We love you here at Ohio Gun Owners, but that is what we're trying to do. We're trying to mobilize gun owners into this big, huge donkey jaw that we use against these people. So,
well, that's why everybody hates our freaking guts so bad. You know, I think that's I was kind of mocking Ben a minute ago, obviously facetiously, because Ben did come and rescue me in Whiteville, North Carolina last week when I was flooded out from that damn hurricane. But I had a trunk full of Chick-fil-A to bribe these guys with, so they had no choice. But
life bread.
Yeah. But these other gun rights organizations in these states, they don't like organizations that fight with a damn donkey jaw. And, that's the thing, is that I think every other organization in Iowa, certainly in Minnesota, in Ohio, in Georgia, in Missouri, in Wyoming,
limp-wristed,
they are there to kiss ass. And Ben's got his terrible sign up. And, we are much, much more of the desire to kick it. And when you do that, they don't like you. They don't like you. And then instead, of course, they start to heap praise on all the rest of these groups. And they want to praise all these compromised groups because they want people to kiss their tail and sing their praises. And these guys are not earning it. And in Georgia, they haven't earned it. In Ohio, they deserve just nothing short of an ass beating,
boot stomping.
A little bit too. In Iowa, they've done little. In Wyoming, well, they've earned it there, so we'll let Wyoming go because they passed the stand your ground law this year, 30 days to the day after Parkland. But I wasn't counting. But so if you're involved in gun rights organizations in different states, and your organizations are beloved by caucus leadership, you got a real problem, and your money is being wasted. So for gosh sakes, knock that crap off. But I think we're about ready to head into our always one of my favorite topics of each one of these podcasts, the self-defense story of the week. Is that correct, guys? Is there more we have to go over?
I just want to touch base just real quick. I know we got a lot of Minnesotans watching right now. Just on your last point Minnesota. Right there. Once again, you've got
Go Braves.
The Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, which is the favored gun rights group, although that's just way too much of a good name, by the elite here, by the establishment. So they just came out a couple weeks ago, as they always do, with their list of endorsed candidates, kissing the backside of House leadership, trying to protect their friends, their anti-gun buddies, and this is what they do it for, to get heaps of praise. To have Kurt Dowd, to have all the leadership stand up there, who's the Speaker of the House, and sing their praises. And I've been going through some of these endorsements, and it's just abysmal. It's abysmal. But this is how they gain political favor. This is why we don't have it, because we don't compromise. I just want to throw that in there.
Well, I think your members kind of understand that, Ben, because Ryan here is commenting. I think I'm pronouncing that right on YouTube. I've had arguments with people just for having my MGR sticker on my truck, which I display proudly.
Oh, rock on.
And so absolutely, Ryan, that's why people get upset, because they don't want gun owners to be involved with real grassroots driven organizations,
right?
Because they want folks to protect the majority. And if that means at the expense of our gun rights, well, then, gun rights be damned, as has been the case in Minnesota for a very, very, very long
time.
On to the highlight of the night, the bright spot. Anytime a pedophile gets his head literally shot off his shoulders,
sorry,
that's a great day. And if you go to secondamendmentdaily.com, which is a great source for gun rights news, secondamendmentdaily.com, story right there under our self-defense header. And this is a good one. There's a lot of great self-defense. It's a tough job every week to figure out which one of all of the wonderful self-defense shootings there are is the best. And it's usually a difficult task that I take on for all of you people, to give you the best one that I could find. But this one was easy. Morgantown,
it was, yeah.
West Virginia. I'll read part of this verbatim from secondamendmentdaily.com. A West Virginia mother is being hailed as a hero by police and victims advocate groups and all of us here at this podcast, after she stopped the attempted rape of her 12-year-old daughter at the hands of a violent, convicted pedophile. Authorities say that 42-year-old mom heard violent commotion in the early morning hours after midnight, I believe it was, of September 25. This is 2 days ago, from her daughter's bedroom in Morgantown, West Virginia. And she ran to her her closet, grabbed a 12 gauge, ran down the hall, and she finds a 53-year-old monster trying to rape her 12-year-old daughter.
Animal.
And police later confirmed the guy, whose name has not been released as of a day ago, He is a member of, or is on the West Virginia Sex Offender Registry. This guy is a convicted child sexual predator. And it says, and I quote, not hesitating, the mother fired directly into the face of the suspect and repeatedly blew off most of his face and head.
Oh.
That's an
Thank
ugly
you.
one.
I love it. That's a wonderful one.
Thank you.
They then drove to the police department and reported this, and the police responded. And they said that they arrived. They found the body of a deceased male. That's very clinical. They found the body of a deceased male was headshot to hell. And
literally shot that guy's head into hell because that's where he's at right now. Thank you, lady.
You know, and it's a funny story. Obviously, it's a horrific story for the mother, who's going to have, you know, maybe have some issues, you know, with this going forward. I know that that for for most parents, that is the easiest shot you can ever take.
And I'm sure she finished out the night and slept like a baby.
And we sure hope she did. We hope that 12-year-old, we hope that mom killed him before the 12-year-old endured. There's no real, it's not clear how much trauma she did endure. She was not raped. We know that. So mom did stop that in time, thank God. But, you know, all these people from Feinstein to Camilla Harris to Cory Booker, they want us totally disarmed. It's not about taking away your AR-15 or taking away your 100-round drum mag for your AR or, Bloomberg's background checks. That's just a part of it. They do not want to stop until we're literally disarmed like some third world or some Euro trash country and have no means to fight back, no means to protect our families, our country. And, this is what happens when if they ever are successful. People like this woman, this mother would not have this ability to fight back, would not have it.
And she should stand with pride every moment till the day she dies. That is a mom taking action.
A sheepdog mama. That's a sheepdog mama right there.
You got your moms demanding action for gun sense and all this BS that we see at our state capitals all across the country. Any one of them would rather be standing there with absolutely no ability to protect their 12-year-old daughter from a violent child rapist. That's how they would rather stand there than what that mother did, had a shotgun and blew his freaking head off. Boom. That is how those things should end every single time.
Right on.
That's a mother. That's a mom.
All of y'all watching right now, look, we're building up a little bit of a following here at the Second Amendment Daily Show. We are coming to y'all from all across the country. One day, from sea to shining sea, we're going to be all over this country. Book it. But right now, we need your help. Go to Second Amendment Daily on Facebook. Second Amendment Daily, or secondamendmentdaily.com. Like our Facebook page. Like it. Go and like that page, guys. Ask your friends and family to like our page as well. Go to the YouTube Second Amendment Daily page, which is pinned to this video, guys. We want to grow this. At some point, this should be exciting for y'all, we're going to have a call-in show. We're going to have call-in where you can call in. At some point, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but we're probably going to have some gear and things like that, guys. But like our Second Amendment Daily page. Second Amendment Daily, you can go there right now, Second Amendment Daily. Go to the YouTube page as well. It's pinned to the top of this video, guys. We're trying to build a following because we know that we're right. We have no shame in saying that. We want to talk to the people. That is y'all. So go and like our page. You'll get instant alerts.
That means you if you're from Iowa, just in case you didn't know what y'all.
Iowa, y'all. Iowa, Georgia,
Minnesota. Or Ewans up there in Minnesota, maybe.
Don't you know?
Like, share. Get this out, guys. You are here at the beginning. You're here at the beginning. This is going to be big. And again, I have no shame in saying that because I'm very confident. I know all of us on here are confident as well, guys. But let's talk the talk and walk the walk. Like our page and share this around to family and friends.
Well, and again, I want to say that right now we're in this empty space between summer and election season and legislative season. But once we get back into legislative season, and I'm talking as early as November 14 for us here in Ohio, and then, of course, across the country as state legislatures kick off all across America, this right here, Second Amendment Daily Show on Thursday nights is going to be the front seat row for the fight front and center of all these different states that we work with, and you guys are going to get blow-by-blow reports from the front lines.
You're going to get reports from the urinal in the Iowa Capitol, where so many great one-liner insults are dished
exactly.
out. You're going to hear from subcommittee hearings in Minnesota. You're going to see the riots and the riotous rallies in Atlanta.
Yep.
We're everywhere. We're everywhere. And you guys,
and in Missouri, and in Wyoming, and in Wisconsin.
And Missouri, of course, for all the Missourians watching, you're going to see firsthand Eric Burleson kick a bunch of ass for the first time in years. He's coming back in the state Senate down there. So much coming up down the road here in just a couple weeks.
And and not only that, but those are the states that we work in. But we know a lot of people in other states across America. We'll be paying attention to those, especially in states like Washington, where they have major gunfights on their hands right now. We pay attention to gun politics, not just in our own states, but we are all professionally invested in this and interested in this. And so we'll be dissecting anything that's happening in American gun politics. Will be done right here in the Second Amendment Daily show.
And exposing all those corrupt gun rights leaders, so-called, who in some cases are on payroll with lawmakers. We're
talking about you, Jim Nash.
That's right. We're going to blow them up and let you guys know how often we don't lose, or we're not defeated, but we're betrayed. And we're going to let you guys hear firsthand stories about that kind of stuff. Hopefully more about how we trounce them into the dirt. But in states where we're not active, it's important you guys know, like in Oklahoma this year, the Oklahoma gun rights organization publicly came out and urged the governor to veto constitutional carry because, after all, they're all instructors and they want to get paid.
Shameful.
Permits optional. We ain't getting paid. So anyway, last thing of the night, I got one last thing here, guys. I'm getting some texts from one of my favorite NRA lobbyists. And I actually only have one. So
there's more than one? I never see him.
Well, he's the only guy that's ever done a dang thing worth a darn. But he was making the obvious point that Lindsey Graham has certainly become a different person in the last couple of weeks, and he wants to know why.
Since his daddy died.
Why. And we're just very, very, very amazed, all gun rights activists amazed across the country, what happened to Lindsey Graham. So that's all I have for tonight, guys, myself. That's all I got.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap it up then. Please go to our Second Amendment Daily Show on Facebook. Like and subscribe there. Go to our YouTube channel. It's also pinned in the comment section. Like it and share it and subscribe. Tell your friends this is going to be the front line for gun politics in the coming future. And we're going to be back here. We're going to be back here next week. Regardless, we don't think there's going to be another hurricane. So we're going to be back here next week at 7:30 Eastern Time, 6:30 Central, 5:30 Mountain Time, and then 4:30 Pacific Time. Good grief. But we'll be back here again next week. So
I just want to just one last thing. Robert Bishop just said, just subscribe to your YouTube channel. Robert's a fantastic member of MGR here in Minnesota. So thank you for that, Robert. And guys, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel once we log off here.
Good. All right, guys. Well, that's it for now. We'll be back. We'll be back next Thursday. Until then, stay safe and carry on.
Have a good night, everybody.
Braves, playoffs.